Hello, this is Brian Buchar, Aries Turbo on turbo-mopar.com. I'm doing the second video, my second calibration video about fuel setup tweaks and corrections. I'm going to use the Turbinator LM code base for this installment because it's what I use every day on my car, and it has one extra step that you need to do versus Turbinator SMEC. Turbinator SMEC already has injector scaling built into the assembly setup process. There is an issue we need to correct with that, which I will detail in here, but injector scaling is done a different way with Turbinator LM. I like to scale the injectors using Chem 2, which is right here. So open up Chem 2, and you can maximize so you fill the entire screen. Open up, go to the desktop. Here's Turbinator LM. These are the files that I created earlier. And as you can see, when you go to open, it automatically looks for that CalX file. So open that, and we see a bunch of table names over here. There's ignition advance. Let's go to, the first thing I want to do is I need, in Turbinator LM, there is no injector scaling built into the assembly process, the assembly language process, so we need to do that using Chem 2. So, File, Scale Injectors. Okay, it has your current injectors is the stock 33 pounders, which is correct. That is what the Turbinator LM code base is initially scaled for. It uses stock values for all your injector pulse width, all your tables that use injector pulse width. We want to change them to, let's say, 52 pound per hour. That's the plus 40s, what a lot of people use. Okay, you select that. Your original was 33, your new is 52, and you hit OK. Now, let's go to the scale for injectors area. These are the tables that I just automatically scaled using the scale injectors function in Chem 2. Okay. I typically don't use Chem 2 a lot. I prefer the crispness of the display in decal. I like that better, so that's what I use. But Chem 2 has a lot of great features. I'm not going to get into all those right now, only the ones that we need to use to set up this calibration. Okay, so save as, Turbinator LM, and save. It automatically saves anything that you change to the CalX file, and it automatically saves the information that it changed to the bin file. Okay, now that I've scaled for my 52 pound per hour injectors, I open decal up, and I load Turbinator LM. Okay, the files that I'm going to be focusing on are, for this fuel setup installment, are fuel part throttle, fuel full throttle, fuel no throttle, and pumping efficiency. Okay, the error that I spoke of earlier, there's an error that the SMEC scaling function that scales for injectors, both the SMEC scaling function and the manual scaling that you can do in decal create an error in these three tables right here: fuel part throttle, fuel full throttle, fuel no throttle. Now that I've scaled for my injectors, I want to correct that error. Okay, so what we're going to do, the error is in, well, you can't even see it on here, unfortunately. Let me open it back. Well, I will get into that in a later installment. Let's worry about the other things right now. I'll worry about that error later. Basically what you do, you can't see it on here, but you select this, not this point, but the point after it, and you use your arrow to move the line up and down, and it rescales it rescales the slope of this line. See, the last point at the end of this curve is not actually there, it's imaginary. This point is the actual last data point, and then this line is generated with a slope function. I guess I will go over it now. The SMEC scaling function in the assembly setup doesn't scale this last slope properly, nor does this button right here scale. It does not scale, say you scaled the y-axis, it does not scale this last slope properly. So it doesn't give you enough fuel in the higher boost, where it's essential to have more fuel. All you have to do is select the last point, move it up a couple clicks, move it back down a couple clicks, and it rescales. Once you save, it rescales the last slope. You got to do it in both the fuel part throttle, the fuel full throttle, and the fuel no throttle tables. Hopefully, if anybody has any questions, let me know, and I'll make a little small snippet video of the SMEC so you can see the last point. Okay, one thing that I like to do now that I got my injector scaled for plus 40s, 52 pound per hour, I like to change the part throttle fuel above 5 psi to match the full throttle fuel. So, because the part throttle fuel is leaner, you can see it's lower right here than the full throttle fuel. You're leaner when you're into boost. I like to change everything above 5 psi to match the full throttle table. So you can use a Granger valve, and you can run high into the boost and then back off the throttle a little bit, and you'll still have the correct amount of fuel for part throttle, instead of being lean and then knocking and melting things. Okay, how I do this, I save a copy of the file as the name, I add the name swapped to it. Okay, then I open this file and I change a few things in it. I change decal, you know, the comparison calibration, you can compare two calibrations in decal, and it compares the table names by the table names. So I want to view the full throttle fueling on top of the part throttle table so I can copy it. So I change the name to full throttle. Now, because decal compares the name, you can't have duplicate names. So I add a little dash there. I'll remove it later, but I need to make the name just a little bit different, so I can hit OK, and then I can change the next name to part throttle. Okay, now I get rid of the dash, and I have a calibration that has these two names switched in it. Save. And note that it says swapped in here. Okay, now I load the original calibration I was working on, open, and then I use this, I hit options, and I use the comparison calibration feature. Now I browse for the one that says swapped, and I open it up. Now, when you scroll back down to fuel full throttle and fuel part throttle, you can see the opposite table in the background as a gray line. Okay? Then you can edit the boost, the fueling for whatever boost level you want to. Now, I'm running out of time on my YouTube 10-minute limit for my videos, so I'm going to stop this one now, and we'll get back to this in just a second.